Hello, my name's Nadia Thompson and I'm an artist. I've lived all over England, but I've settled in London. I came to art quite recently. Although I've always loved art, my focus has always just been on the sort of sciencey side of life. Art was for pleasure and science was work. I'm not sure that my art is particularly informed by any specifics of my background. As I say, I don't have any formal art training, and perhaps in a way this lets me be quite free in my creation. My art tends to be a response to whatever is running through my head at the time, whatever thought I can't get out. I think much of my art speaks to connection between people, between things, between life, our climate, our environment, struggles, heartache, and things I find beautiful. I've always loved art. I just didn't think I was any good at it. When I was young, my mother would take me and my sister to lots of art galleries, and sometimes we would drive for hours to get there. She loved art, and I think her love of it must have rubbed off on me. Aesthetically, I think my favourites have always been contemporary artistic styles. When I was young, I would just get lost gazing up at sort of the huge structures in the Tate Modern when we'd visit London. But I never actually explored creating art myself until after I had my son. I think before that, the most creative I got was, highlighting a particularly dramatic spreadsheet. Last year, though, I decided to go full-time and set up a little art studio in my son's playroom on top of what used to be our dining table. I think my biggest influence has to be my son. It's because of him that I started painting in the first place. We've always loved lots of messy play in our house, particularly when he was little. And I think it was really through him that I discovered my love of mark making. I just adore the way that he's just so free with kind of whatever he does. And I think it's something I've tried to replicate in my own pieces. I'd say my favourite artists change daily. Instagram means we have so much more access to the interesting things people create than we did 10 years ago. I feel like every time I log on, I see something new that I want to try. A friend recently got a membership to the Tate Modern, and I've been tagging along to her viewings. I have been enthralled by Magdalena Abakunovich and Cecilia Vicuña. Their work is so inspiring, and I think you can still see it now if you go. Just so large, so grand. I'd love to create something on such a large scale. I don't have any one single focus right now. I think I'm just starting out in this career, this new path. So I feel like much of my time is actually spent experimenting with different ways of creating, trying to understand kind of the way different techniques work and how colours work or don't work together. I guess my main focus is trusting myself to explore and see where I end up. I think the hardest thing about being an artist is ignoring that little voice in your head that tells you what you've created is rubbish and that you should just throw it away. That and waiting for layers of paint to dry before you add the next bit so you don't rub it in and ruin the whole thing. I think if I could give my younger self any advice, it would be, you don't need to create like them. I saw an inspirational quote the other day that I also wish I'd heard earlier, which was sort of something along the lines of, you are the artist. You choose where to put the paint. Nothing you do is wrong. It's your picture. And I love that. I think about that often. I think the beauty of being self-taught is that half of what I try seems a bit unconventional. I'm very tactile when I paint. I make a lot of mess. And I often grab all sorts of things from the kitchen or the garden or just anything that I could see, random bits of post that come through the door, to see what interesting marks or textures I can make with them. I like combining lots of different mediums to create art. So acrylic, charcoal, pen, pencil, spray paint, oil, watercolour, pastel, anything, everything. I think there's a real beauty in how it all combines. Don't tend to have the patience to sit down and sort of learn how to formally use each of these mediums. So I don't think I'm ever actually using the proper technique. But I prefer to just give it a go and see what happens, see what I can create, see what I can come up with. I love having music on whilst I work. To be honest, having it on is almost as important as making sure I've got a piece of paper to work on, because I think it really helps me immerse myself in what I'm doing. My work is often an expression of my thoughts, and I always have music playing in my head, one form or another. I create quite instinctively. I rarely know what I'm setting out to paint. Usually what happens is I like to react to the work as it sort of starts to come together and sort of see where colours or thoughts or feelings are combining. Sometimes as time will go on, I just start to see sort of what should be the focus of the painting, what is the purpose, what is the point, and that tends to be sort of somewhere. I think one of the best reactions I've had to my work was the other day. A curator rearranged her exhibit because she said she loved the colour in my work so much she wanted it to be the first thing people saw as they came in, and that was pretty special, and I'm still buzzing from that, as you can tell. I hope people take, meaning, thought or pleasure, just some form of joy from my work. I hope they take the artwork and leave me some money. I hope it makes them feel. I hope it makes them think, particularly with the pieces like In Nature's Way, where there's such an important message behind them. It was one of the first pieces I created, and it highlights the horror of poaching to create luxury items. I want people to enjoy the piece I created visually, but also to think about the message behind it and ideally act on it. There's so much that can be done. So currently I have a few pieces under exhibition with the Harmer Gallery and also Bedford House. And there are more details on my website if you would like to go and find them. And I will be taking part in a local art trail in Hyams Park in the summer. I'm really looking forward to the Affordable Art Fair in Hampstead this year because the Harmer Gallery kindly commissioned me to create 3 new pieces for them, which will be on sale there in mid-May. I'm always really excited to explore new opportunities, so hopefully you'll see more of my stuff out there soon. Thank you for having me.